Did you know if you throw a proximity alarm in a room with a soft floor, if you go below the proximity alarm and throw a C4, whenever you gain points from the proximity alarm being active, all you have to do is blow up your C4 because you know someone's going to be where the proximity alarm is. And that was just the first out of 14 different secondary gadgets I'm going to be showing you tricks for. And jumping into the next one, we have claymores. So a lot of people, when they go to place down their claymores, they just place them like this, parallel to the wall. Now there's nothing incredibly wrong with that. And some people, you even see they'll face it more towards the wall, so maybe 1 or 2 lasers is exposed rather than 3, so it's harder to see. But something a lot of people don't know you can do with claymores if you're trying to prevent runouts is if you just place your claymore straight up like this. If you go to the other side of the doorway, as a defender, I can't see the lasers on the other side. If a defender's on the other side and they go to rip down the barricade, once they break it down, as you can see, the laser is going to activate and they're going to blow up from the claymore. Now this is much better than if you were to place your claymore outside like that, because then as you can see, they can crouch around and shoot it like that, and then they can continue to run out. And if you're up on rappel like this and you hear them rip down the barricade, even if you start going down like this, they can still shoot it in time by the time you can go for a kill on them. So in a lot of situations, it's just a lot better to just place your claymore straight up facing the doorway. So a trick that you can do with bulletproof cameras is you can go ahead and place your bulletproof camera above the hatch. Then you want to break the hatch like this. So now if anyone wants to destroy this bulletproof camera, they're going to have to use some sort of utility like an ash charge or something like that, or they're going to have to drop the hatch to punch it. Another trick that you can do is if you place your bulletproof camera on a floor, when you actually go onto the camera, as you can see, I'm going to get a full 360 view. And if it's next to something like a dresser or this pool table or something like that, you can actually see under the pool table on the other side. And let's say they were in 90 like this, as you can see, they can't see the bulletproof camera at all. And as you can see, I can get information onto their feet. There's a lot of different bomb sites and situations that you can use these 2 tricks that I showed you. So if you're trying to make vert on a bomb site and you have breaching charges, something a lot of people don't know you can do is if you go up to a wall that's next to a soft floor, just place your breaching charge like that, and as you can see, it's going to blow up the wall and you're going to make vert at the same time. Now the reason why this is useful is because if you're using a breach charge to make vert, normally it's going to make a noise, it's going to take a while, you could get C4'd, impacted, shot through the floor, whatever. But when you place it on the wall right here, I'm standing on a hard surface, meaning I can't get C4'd, shot, anything like that. They're not going to hear it as easy because they're going to be going through a wall. And another thing, you can actually kill 2 birds with 1 stone by, if you just want to make a rotate real quick while also making vert at the same time, boom, there you go. I've made the rotate and then I can come back and use this vert. And it's something super easy and quick that you can do. And if you do a strat where you make vert and you have breaching charges, just remember that if there's a soft wall next to a soft floor, you can use your breaching charges on the wall and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So for C4s, I feel like almost everyone knows at this point how to C4 below. You can use Valk with a camera above, or you can use Pulse, scan the enemy, throw your C4 where they're standing. But let's say the enemy is standing on a spot that you cannot C4 below. So on this example on border, let's say the enemies are going for the main wall right here, right? You'll have usually an ace, maybe a thatcher, thermite, whatever. So obviously you can't C4 them below because this is a hard floor. But what you can do, now this obviously works best if you're pulsed so that you can actually scan them and then go for the C4. All you have to do is just shotgun out the floor like this. Now you obviously can use something else if you don't have a shotgun. Now as you can see, I broke the entire barricade open, which obviously if the enemies do see the barricades open and they see that there's a hole in the floor, they're obviously not going to walk in front of it. So what you can do is actually barricade it like this, and then you can just do this real quick. And so now most of the barricade isn't open, so all they'll see is just a hole right here. But now what you can do is you can go on your pulse scanner or whatever, you get a call out, whatever, and then you just launch your C4 through. So once you throw it through, I'll show you exactly where it's going to land. So as you can see, your C4 lands right next to the wall. So let's say there was a thermite placing his thermite charge right here. You can throw a C4 all the way over to this wall. Even if they're standing like over here, you're still going to kill them with that C4. And this is just one example on border. There's many different spots to use this, so get creative with it. So normally with a hard breach charge, if I place it down on a wall like this, it's going to create this hole which you can then vault through it, which isn't ideal because you want to be able to run through it so you're less vulnerable, more safe. You don't get the angles that you really want. You can't really do much with this. And if you want to make the hole a little bit bigger, it's kind of hard to do it because you're going to be out in the open. So what you want to do instead is you want to go up to the wall, look as high as possible, and then you want to place down your hard breach charge. And then as soon as that one's activating, you want to pull out your hard breach charge again, on the crouch level and just hold square or whatever button it is for you, and then it's going to place it immediately. But you're going to be much less vulnerable when placing the second one down, because they're just going to hear the explosion and immediately the second one's going to be down pretty much. And with how high the first heartbeat charge is, when you're placing on the second one, they can't really see you. So now you can run through it, you can get better angles onto wherever you're trying to get angles onto. If you're just trying to do some sort of strat and you're kind of away from sight, you can do this strat and then come back to it later on. Rather than having to vault through it, you can run through it. So for impact grenades, I'm going to be showing you a trick called impact tricking. Now, a lot of people do know what impact tricking is, but a lot of people don't know all the situations that you can actually do impact tricking in. And there's a lot of situations where you can impact trick. I'm not going to be showing you every instance, but I'm basically going to be showing you some general situations where you can impact trick and that you can definitely make use of. So the first instance is whenever there's a reinforced wall with a soft portion on top, all you have to do is just shoot out this top part. So as you can see, there's a thermite on the other side of the wall. Now this would work if there was an ace, whatever, anything that's on the other side of the wall. All you'd have to do is jump up on top of here, and you just want to throw your impact at something that's on the other side. So you could throw it at the roof if that's possible. You could throw it at this little part right here. And so as you can see, when I throw it, on the other side, the thermite does get destroyed. So the next way that you can impact trick is if there's a hatch on a soft floor, all you have to do is make holes in the floor if there's something above. So in this case, there's two like metal counter things up there. And so as you can see, there is a thermite on the hatch. So all you have to do is you wait for them to place down the thermite or the ace charges or the Habana pellets, whatever. And basically, if it's more on this side, like if it's only on this side, you could throw it right here. But most of the time, just throwing it right here is going to work. And so as you can see, the thermite charge is off. And basically what's happening is you're hitting the bottom part of this thing right here and it's destroying the thermite charge. This is just one example. There's many different examples you can do this in, but this is probably the most common one and one of the best ways to do impact tricking on hatches. So another way that you can impact trick, now this one only works against ace, is all you want to do is wait for the ace charge to go off. You can crouch like this, and then you just want to throw it instantly where the first ace charge goes off. And basically, you're wasting one of their ace charges, and what you'll see a lot of the times, they'll just throw two straight like that. So they'll throw one on this wall, one on this wall. You can destroy both of those, and basically what you're doing is you're stopping them from making an actual vaultable hole. And so now all they can work with is just a line of sight, which as long as you don't peek it, then you're going to be fine. So another way that you can impact trick, and this is probably the last, common one that you'll see, is if there is a drone hole next to a wall, you can throw your impact through the drone hole. Now this is one on Chalet, but this is probably the most common one that you will see. But as you can see, there is a thermite charge on the wall, and it needs to be somewhat on the left side for this to actually work. And it's really simple. Just you can lay down like this, use your impact outside like that, and as you can see, it's going to destroy the thermite charge. And like I said, that's probably the 4 most common ways that you can do impact tricking. There is some other ways that you can do it on specific maps and sites, but if you know those 4 ways that I just showed you, you're going to have great success impact tricking. So a while ago, the best way to use frag grenades was nading below. If you don't know what that is, basically before they got nerfed, you could actually cook grenades. So if you timed up the explosion of the grenade to right when it hits the soft floor below whatever you're trying to destroy, or if you're trying to go for killing somebody, then it was going to be a great outcome for you. It was a really good way to use grenades back then, but they've obviously been nerfed and you cannot cook grenades anymore, but there's still a way that you can nade below still. It's just not as effective, but it still definitely works and you can still definitely make it work. So let's say someone's playing a shield right here, which is very common. All you have to do is go below the shield, which is right here, shoot out a little portion of the floor like this, then you want to throw your nade in between the floorboards like that, and when it explodes, it's going to destroy anything on the other side. It's a little bit harder to do it if someone's standing there because they're going to see the bullets go through the floor and usually they'll just move away. But if you're trying to get rid of a shield, this is a great way to do so. And this is just one example, but all you need is a drone. You just need to find where you want to throw your nade and then go ahead and do it. So observation blockers are very similar to other secondary gadgets in this video in that there aren't that many tricks to them, at least not general tricks that aren't operator specific. So I'll be showing you some kind of tips that you can use with them. So the way that I like to place my observation blockers is kind of think of it like map control. Like if I was a drone and I was trying to drone down laundry stairs, if there's an observation blocker sitting right here, I can easily just jump over it, take the map control with my drone and continue to drone the site. Versus if there's an observation blocker right here, if I was a drone droning down laundry, I can't see any information into sight. And if I want to actually go get information information is that I have to jump out into the open with my drone, and if someone's like on a mira or something like that, they can easily shoot the drone. So this is a good setup that I like to use for observation blockers. And think about it, if I was a drone, it's really hard for me to drone anything to do with this setup, because by the time I can even get past the observation blockers, my drone should already be shot. Versus if I just place my observation blocker right here, the drone can easily jump over it. Now obviously it can also get shot from there, but this is just one example. So a common mistake I see a lot of players doing with smoke grenades is they'll end up throwing their smoke where they're going to be planting, where they're going to be running in from, or something like that. So if I was trying to go for a plant right here, or maybe I was trying to help my teammate over here going for a plant, some players would end up throwing their smoke right here, over there where the person is planting. Now the reason why that's bad is because think of it as a defender. Once I see a smoke pop off right there and right here, I can lob a C4, I can just walk up and wait for you to walk through the smoke and shoot you, especially if I'm warden. There's a lot of different things that you can do to counter that. Now the right way to do it is to throw your smokes where the defenders are going to be peeking from. When I have this one activated and I have this one activated, all I have to do is cover right here, because then that's the only place that they can peek from. And if they do try to walk through to actually get an angle onto the diffuser or to you, I can easily kill them because they're going to be walking through smoke. But something a lot of people don't know is you can actually use smoke grenades from below. But let's say you have this wall up and you want to go for a plant. Something to catch the defenders off guard is to actually smoke below. So for this site, all I'd have to do is go right here, and you want to throw it in between the floorboards. So once you throw it up in between the floorboards, it's going to activate above like this. You'll see it in a second. And so if they're trying to peek from the head holes that are usually here or the rotate, they're obviously not going to be able to because it's smoked off. So basically with a little bit of coordination with your team, you can smoke off the areas that you need to smoke off. You can play below the diffuser, and it's all of this is going to happen so quickly if you do it correctly that the defenders are going to be caught off guard. And I wouldn't recommend doing this more than once because they're obviously going to catch on. But if you pull this out, I can almost guarantee you're going to win that round, just because they're not going to know what to do. They're just going to see smokes go off. You're going to be playing below the diffuser. It's just going to work out well for you. So for the next secondary gadget I'll be going over, we have flash grenades. But the problem with flash grenades is not really that many tricks to them. Depending on your operator, there could be a certain trick. But I'm going to give you like 2 little tricks that you can do with them, more generally tips. So the first of which is being, a lot of people will have 3 flash grenades in their pockets by the time they die. If you're choosing an operator and they have a secondary gadget that's at least decent, you obviously want to use that, and flash grenades can be very strong. So if you notice that you're dying a lot of the time with flash grenades in your pocket, just start thinking about how to use them better and how to use them more. Now obviously if you're like crouching through the map and you're obviously making no noise, you don't want to throw one randomly because then they'll obviously know you're there. But generally you want to use at least 2 of your stun grenades throughout the round. Another good tip is to actually use stun grenades to block off sound whenever you're doing something. So most of the time I use stun grenades to block off sound. I'm on a hatch. So let's say someone's like contesting you from bathroom side and they're kind of contesting you, right? All you'd have to do is throw your flash grenade like that, drop as soon as it goes off, and then I can sprint around and pinch them from the other side. So think about it from the defender's POV. They're going to see a flash grenade right here and they're just going to run away to, you know, not get flashed by it, or they do get flashed by it and then they can't hear and they can't see. They're not going to know that you dropped the hatch, and when you instantly are just over here in bathroom and you pinch from the other side, you can usually get a free kill on them. And that's just one example, but you get the gist. So something a lot of people don't know about barbed wire is if you actually place barbed wire on an elevated surface like this, as you can see, I can perfectly see through it. It's really easy for me to see through this. So if someone is on that door, I'm going to easily be able to get the kill on them as long as they don't know I'm here. And so as you can see, when I swap positions, it's really hard to see through the barbed wire from this side. For whatever reason, it's harder to see from this side compared to if you're on the other side. So you can use this to catch your enemies off guard. Now, obviously, if you do get droned in this position, you don't want to stick your head onto it because then you can easily be pre-fired. But if I were swinging this corner and I just see barbed wire, like as you can see, it's pretty tough to see Ash on the other side of that, especially once you're just swinging around, you're expecting to see people and then you just see barbed wire and you're dead. It's going to catch a lot of people off guard. So everyone knows that you can use impact EMPs to counter bandit or Cade or mute or something like that. But something a lot of people don't know that you can do is you can actually use impact EMPs to counter Clash. So as you can see, Clash is electrocuting me, but if I throw my impact EMP, she can no longer electrocute me. That's something a lot of people don't know that you can do with impact EMPs. And another thing a lot of people don't know you can do is you can actually EMP C4. So let's say someone throws a C4 at you and it's at your foot. What you can do is just throw an impact EMP on it. And as you can see, it's going to disable it and you cannot activate it. That doesn't just have to be in situations where they throw it at your foot. It could be like over here, you want to disable it, boom, swing them. A lot of people forget this and they only use them to open up the wall, but there are more uses than a lot of people remember. So for the next secondary gadget, we have shields. Now, the problem with shields is a lot of the tricks that I could show you are kind of glitchy. So they are either already patched or they're going to be patched soon. So there's not really many tricks that I could show you, but I will be trying to give some tips with shields when playing shields. So as an example, let's say I was playing this shield on Pixel, right? Some people, they might place down their shield like this. Now, this might not look like there's that much of a problem with it, but the problem with it is, let's say you're trying to protect your shield with a Jaeger or a mine. If the shield is flush with the wall like this, I would have to place my Jaeger device somewhere out here, which is out in the open, can easily be destroyed from the windows. So to solve that problem, all you have to do is back the shield up. So let's say that there was a Jaeger and they placed down their ADSs right here, right? The reason why it protects the shield a lot better than if it's flush with the wall, if an ash charge is sent towards the shield and it lands right on the shield, right? The Jaeger is going to intercept it before it can do that because it's in the line of sight of the ash charge. Versus if the shield is flush with the wall, if you places your Jaeger back here, the ash charge is going to hit the shield before it can be intercepted. And another thing is in most situations, you want to be able to peek from the left, the top, and the right. If you can, you want to make sure that you can actually peek from each side. So in this situation, I actually can because I can see to the left, the right, and the top. But disregard everything I said about like the ADSs and the WMIs. If I place it up like this, as you can see, I can't peek from the left side. Move it out to the right a little bit. You can get some crazy pixel angles like this. Obviously, this is not the best example, but now I can peek from the left, the top, and the right. And like I said, this example isn't great, but you got to be careful with this sometimes because then you can get shot through this little hole if you're not paying attention. But if you can create some pixels through it, then you can get a lot of kills like that. If you feel you improved from this video or you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. And if you want to watch more of my content, then click the video popping up on your screen.